Today, we will explore some of the history that is found inside the legend of the Doina when the crown woke. The majority of this book takes place in the subcontinent, which is called Mor Thir, and the main continent called Andrat, which is this big one right here, plays kind of a contextual role. But it is important to start with the main continent because it really does impact the events that take place in Morthir. So, first, we want to look at the Holy Kingdom of Luxony, which is one of the kingdoms that guards the illumined path, which is a religion that believes that light needs to overcome the darkness in the world. And if people do not want to receive the light, then they burn them to death, as in the belief that the fire will purify them. Now, there's a different way to interpret that, and in Midas still, they have a more loving and open minded way of experiencing the light. And if you read the book, you'll see kind of how that works, but we'll just kind of stick with this uh, the Luxon way of the illumined path. Right here in this area, there's a place called Bardisius. And hundreds of years ago, they sent some armies over here. And this place used to be called Gobaith. And the Lord that took the armies, conquered Gobaith, and created a kingdom and made himself king over Broadland. Now, we're looking at Morthir. This is a more in depth map of Morthir. And as we just learned, that Broadland conquered Gobaith, this used to be Gobaith, and Gobaith, Doinia, Oilinthur, and there's a nation in the main continent called Tuwa are all Kiltuk nations. And Broadland and Luxony and Midastil and a couple other kingdoms are what are called Angraxan nations. They're different races. And after Broadland conquered Gobaith, they set their eyes north and they wanted to take Doinia. So they sent army after army. A lot of times they got swallowed in these mountains here, the Bala Mountains. Um, Sometimes they would take what is called the neck. This region here is called the neck. But eventually they'd be cast back south to Broadland. They'd The furthest they ever conquered was somewhere around here in Doinia, and they eventually abandoned trying to conquer the Doinia for a while, and they tried to influence them instead. And Clan Malray administers the neck, and they found an ambitious lord or an ambitious chief from Clan Malray that um, was more willing to follow their ways. So they installed him as king. They gave him a lot of money. He overthrew the traditional king of Doinia and created a country called Forland. And ever since then, the Highlanders and the Lowlanders battled. And sometimes they battled with swords, sometimes they just battled with ideas. And eventually, Broadland started having problems with Forland, and they would fight skirmishes and all out wars throughout the years. But Forland at one point established complete control over Doinia, and where this book takes place, the Highlanders have had enough, and a lot of people in the lowlands have had enough as well. They were sick of seeing their people burned alive by the Broche, and by the priests of the illumined path. So a new army has been raised in the north to go back to the old ways, and they're supported by Oilin Thiar and by the Tuwa, and a small resistance in Broadland, a small Gobaith resistance. So there's a lot of conflict in this area here, and a lot of it comes, well, pretty much all of it comes from the influence and pressure that Broadland puts on them. The Doinya and all the Celtic nations believe in the fairies, the fairy gods, and that's the old way, the old gods. And the Brosh think of them as demons. So whenever they come across a person that believes in the old gods and they try to convert them to the light, if that person does not convert to the light, that person is burned alive. So it has caused a lot of friction in this nation where the influence from Broadland is heaviest and is leading to a crucible. A war is about to take place. First of all, a civil war is about to take place between Doinya and Forland. And if Doinya wins, then that's just the beginning. They're going to have to fight against Broadland. And the question is, will Oilin Thiar, Tuwa, and the small resistance band be able to unite and fight them together, or will Doinya and the small resistance band be alone? So, who would you choose? Would you fight for love, inclusion, and your spirituality, or would you fight on the side of power, of control, of